What's going on, everybody? It's the Bull Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, there has been some interesting reports and rumors going around that the Chicago Bulls have set a price point in which teams would have to meet in order to get Zach LaVine away from the Chicago Bulls. We're going to be looking at that and seeing whether or not it's a realistic option for either of those options to occur, as well as whether or not it's still likely to see Zach LaVine leave this Chicago Bulls team. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bull Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about Zach LaVine and his potential to leave this Bulls team. Do you think it will happen this season? Do you think we'll have to wait a little bit longer to see it happen? Stuff of that nature. You know the drill. There's always rumors, there's always talks, there's always negotiations. Every single season you're going to hear something about Zach LaVine as long as he's on this Chicago Bulls team. So it goes without saying that maybe there is a standpoint in which you have to meet a certain criteria to get Zach LaVine out of our hands in many ways. You have to meet a high expectation and stuff like that. But I feel like this stage right now is extremely important to know. It's extremely important to know what the Bulls would want in return for Zach LaVine, in the sense that what are they looking for, and it's important for other teams to know so they don't come and waste our time. Just because AK and Eversley are listening to every offer doesn't mean every offer is worth listening to, if you know what I mean. So at least now you come in with the expectation and knowing what the Bulls are looking for, and you can negotiate around that in many ways instead of wasting time and trying to do all these other deals that might not be seen as fit for the Chicago Bulls in many ways. So yeah, let's get started on all of this gauging of what Zach LaVine is worth. So apparently this was a Bleacher Report notification, but of course I believe it's come from NBC Sports Chicago, suggesting that the Chicago Bulls in a trade for Zach LaVine would be looking for either A, multiple first round picks and a young player, or B, one first round pick and a high-end player. So those are the two options that I guess other teams would need to provide in order to have a negotiation and a talk about bringing Zach LaVine to that team. And that's it's very important to discuss, because let's just say the New York Knicks come back in and they want Zach LaVine. They had talks about Zach LaVine at the trade deadline. They want Zach LaVine again. Let's say that negotiation begins. Instead of all this negotiation and wasting time and trying to bring different people into the deal, multiple people into the deal, or whatever the case may be, at least now New York has, I guess, the information there that is what the Bulls are looking for. A young player and multiple draft picks. That could be an RJ Barrett type player. He's still fairly young. Could be a multiple draft picks there. Maybe it's Obi Toppin. Maybe it's somebody else and multiple first round picks. Or maybe it is Julius Randle and a first round pick. High-end player and Julius Randle and a first round pick in return as well. You know, at least then you have the luxury to discuss either or in many ways. And it's easier for New York just as much as it's easier for the Chicago Bulls. So it's interesting in that point of view, but we're going to discuss, I guess, both sides and which one is actually more likely to happen. Let's start off with the first option, which would be the multiple first round picks and a young player. I personally have no problem with this whatsoever. Again, if you're going to be trading a guy like Zach LaVine, it's more likely than not you're going to trade him for a rebuild. You're going to start that rebuild. You're going to get your young player. You're going to get multiple first-round picks. You're probably going to have to trade the other core pieces away as well, in DeMar DeRozan, in Nikola Vucevic, and you're going to have to start again. Again, that's what it suggests to me, at least. And I think that's very, very reasonable. I don't think that's too much to ask for, and I do think it's very fair on both ends. You know, for a team like Portland, for example, a lot of people are saying we should be getting the 3rd overall pick and Anthony Simons in a trade for Zach LaVine. I think that's more than fair to do. Really, I do believe that. And of course, you can add more people into that if you like. But I think it's fair in the sense that, Portland might be looking for a player to pair up with Zach LaVine. The Bulls might be looking to go younger, and the Bulls might want to go for that rebuild. In that regard, if that's the Bulls and what they're seeking, Portland can offer multiple first-round picks, offer a young player, and all of a sudden, that's exactly what the Bulls are looking for in one of the trade options for Zach LaVine. I don't think that's a terribly hard thing to ask for, in all honesty. I don't think it's unfair. I think that is perfectly reasonable, and I hope this is the option that ends up going down, because the second option becomes a little bit more complicated. So let's talk about that real quick. One first round pick and a high-end player. Firstly, you need to discuss what's a high-end player. Is that another all-star level player? Is that a player that can help us compete for a championship? And if so, are you really going to give up a first-round pick as well to get Zach LaVine? Let's talk about an example here. Even though Zion Williamson is young, I consider Zion Williamson a high-end player. Someone that I believe was an all-star in the past, if I'm not mistaken. Really young player, very, very, very athletic, and has a lot of potential on his side, definitely. And he definitely helps that Pelicans team become stronger. Without a shadow of a doubt, that's what Zion Williamson brings to the Pelicans. Unfortunately, all the outside news and all the outside stories happening with him, that's a whole completely different story, in all fairness. But if, for example, if that's the high-end player that you're potentially looking for, are you seriously going to ask the Pelicans to give a first-round pick in return? Let's be honest, the Bulls would be lucky to have a player like Zion at that young of an age, and they're not going to give a first-round pick for Zach LaVine either. I don't see that happening. If anything, the Bulls are probably going to have to give a first-round pick in Zach LaVine for someone like Zion in many ways, just because of the upside that he has. It might not be right or fair, but that's how I view that situation. So, it depends on the player. You know, again, we're talking about Julius Randle. I think you could get a first-round pick in Julius Randle in a trade. I really do believe so, because I don't think New York are going to need that first-round pick, and they could be willing to give that to us. And the Bulls will definitely need it. And in the same way, you know, I see Zach LaVine and Julius Randle very close to the same level in many ways, if you know what I mean. A guy like Zion, with all the upside that he has, granted he's fairly injury-prone, I would say, at the moment. You know, I don't expect the Bulls to be asking for a first-round pick in that negotiation as well, if that was to happen. Again, it's a hypothetical situation. My point is, depending on the player that you're looking for in a trade with Zach LaVine, it will determine whether or not you get a first-round pick as well. Maybe we have to give a first-round pick. Maybe no first-round picks are attached to the deal at all. So you got to be mindful of that. I think that's much more difficult to do, and it's much more, I would say, unfair, because you just don't know what superstars are going to be on the market, and you don't know if Zach LaVine is going to be better or worse than any of those guys that we have on that team, or on the teams that could be looking to bring Zach LaVine in. You know, if you consider a guy like Draymond Green, for example, a high-end player, well, Draymond Green, I know he's a good player, he's a great player, but you know, he's on the back end of his career, and I wouldn't be giving a first-round pick to the Warriors for Zach LaVine and Draymond Green. You know what I mean? But would the Warriors give a first-round pick for us if they were going to do a deal like that? You know what I mean? Hypotheticals, of course, but that's just how I feel. I feel like it just depends on what the player is, and therefore we can work from there. It's more difficult to do. Can it be done? Of course it can. But I do believe if you trade Zach LaVine, it's more likely going to be option A, where we get the young player and we get the multiple first-round picks, and then we go for that rebuilding stage for the Chicago Bulls. But I'd like to know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think the trade negotiation, or do you think the trade value for Zach LaVine is fair? I think it is fair, but it's a lot of room for interpretation, I guess you could say. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in the next Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.